Hi. So this week we watched Lars and the Real Girl for our leadership class and read some of the pages in both the Emotionally Intelligent Leadership book and the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership book. So basically after watching this movie, I was kind of sitting there at first thinking to myself, like, well, what exactly is, what does this have to do really with leadership? And then it hit me. So after reading through the pages, starting with the first slide, I realized that in the chapter about the connection to others, this is probably the most crucial thing that I could take out of Lars and the Real Girl, because I'll read this quote: "For leaders to be effective, they need to connect with people. Why? Because you first have to touch people's hearts before you can ask them for a hand." Now, basically, Lars in this film, he's very delusional. Everybody knows that he's got something going on up top, and the way he talks about his real doll, Bianca, being a real person is foreign to people. People don't understand it, but it's amazing how his connection to others and the fact that people love him so much helps to make everything come to life with Bianca. So as you can see, there's a part where Karen actually gets into his face. They're fighting, they're arguing, and he's saying that nobody cares, nobody does anything, and she's saying that they basically are treating Bianca as if she is a real person because they love him, because he has so many connections to other people, and it's really cool to see. So basically, self-connection is the first one. Lars definitely connects with himself. He knows what he wants. He knows what he needs. He wants that Bianca girl. He's going to determine when her death is. He has connected to himself, and he's then been able to open up and be sincere to other people and relay what he wants out of life, you know what I mean? And in that case, it was Bianca being real, He's able to open up and stop being in his shell in his little house and stuff like that. And he really does live through his message, His message is that, I just take it as, the deeper message, As long as you're with someone who makes you happy or something that makes you happy, that's all that matters. And if you feel like you have a connection with people and stuff like that, and you really are passionate about something, and you make other people believe in it, then that's the whole way leadership is basically brought about. So to me, this just ties back to the fact that he inspired everybody in his town to really fall in love with this Bianca girl. At first they all thought it was weird, they thought it was nuts, they thought it was crazy, they looked at the doll thinking, what the. But then when you actually sit down and realize his steps to leadership and the way he connects with himself opens Bianca up as a real person, and really lives and believes that she's a real person, and gets everyone else in the town to treat her as if she's a real person, and to really just have so much passion for it. These people fall in love with Bianca. They're upset when Bianca dies at the end. These people actually go to a funeral for her, and they're kind of hurt by it because he builds it up so that there's a love for her through a love for him. And because he has those connections to other people, what he believes is going to go far. So moving on to the second slide, compounding your inner circle. Again, this goes back to the way he pretty much dragged in everybody in his hometown. He dragged in a woman from church who, she said from the beginning, she's like, I'm going to believe in it because that's what he would want to believe in, and that's what he wants us to believe. So you know what? Might as well go along with it if it's going to make him happy. And you have the therapist who listens and who hears him out through the whole thing. And yet he's compounding that inner circle, and the therapist is starting to see how much passion he has for things, whatever. And although she's trying to kind of cure him of it, she's letting him be. And it's just amazing how he is almost impacting her life as much as she's impacting his life. So I took the quote out of Maxwell's book, and it was, leaders have to deliver, but their potential is determined by those closest to them. And I agree, because in this movie, Karen and Gus are very close to him. The therapist becomes close to him, and he's able to basically lead as far as he wants to lead because of them, you know. They're going to enable him, and although it might not be normal and might not be right, it's what makes him happy. So I thought that was really cool. Moving on to the next slide, efficiency in success. Now, I took the quote, "In many ways, placing your efforts in areas for which you feel great passion is the quickest and most efficient way to succeed," from Shankman's book. And honestly, I think that is so true. In life, if you want to succeed, you have to have a passion for something. Anything, no matter what it is, and no matter how impossible it is, unrealistic it is, if you have a passion for something, you're going to get much further than somebody who doesn't have a passion for anything and just tries to be successful. You know, you really have to put your heart and soul into everything, and I feel like in his case, in Lars's case, he's really putting his heart and soul into making Bianca a real person. And for the therapist, you know, she's also putting her heart and soul into trying to help him through his delusion, you know. She's putting all of her work and time into him every week he comes into the office. She's really trying to dig deep, you know. She's got a passion that goes deeper than just making money because he's coming to treatments, you know. She really wants to know and wants to help him. And I think that's pretty cool. So I listed passion. Comes from a good work ethic. You know, you work hard if you have a passion for things. You also connect with people. You can relate with people on a certain level if you have a passion for something. And through that, it inspires people to want to just succeed, you know, to want to achieve great things. So you must have a passion for whatever you do, and that goes with anything. Moving on to the next slide, flexibility. That was a big quality in this movie that I saw that basically Karen and Gus held within them. You know, Lars walks in with Bianca and he basically says, you know, this is my girlfriend. They're expecting some girl, you know, some real girl, and they see a doll who's dressed up looking not so nice, you know. And it's just funny how they sit there, and from the first day, they're like, oh my God, this is not going to happen. You know, we can't have this happen. This is the weirdest thing. And by the end, the flexibility, the transformation, they actually become open-minded about the whole situation. Instead of closing Bianca off, they do it a little bit in the beginning, but as far as closing people off, you know, they actually give it all a chance because they just want to make everything better. And that's, to me, what leadership is about. You have to be flexible in any situation you're thrown into. You have to be adaptable to change, adaptable to people's personalities. And I think Gus and Karen definitely represented that. And so I took the quote, "For leaders to create commitment among followers, they have to pay attention to what matters to the followers. Flexibility is a key ingredient of successful leadership." Now, in the case for Karen and Gus, you know, they're leading Lars into living a healthier, more stable life. You know, they're trying to lead him. Ever since the first day, Karen's trying to get him over for dinner. So in a way, they're also leading Lars. Lars is a leader, but Karen and Gus are also a leader. So they're trying to lead him into, you know, being happy, being successful. And it's funny because they do actually tap into the fact that you have to pay attention to what matters to the followers. And what matters to Lars is that that girl is real, and that people show love for him, and that people show love for her, and that people have his back. And when they show that, even through pretending like Bianca's real, that means more to Lars than anything, you know? And that just shows such a powerful leadership on their part, that they are able to open up their house to something so weird and such a foreign idea and just be okay with it. And now moving on to the last slide, optimism. This was something that I definitely saw throughout the entire movie. And not so much in the beginning, but towards the end, you know. Lars himself is a very optimistic person in regards to Bianca, in regards to life, in regards to everything. You know, he has he has some vision that not many people can see, but through that you see optimism shining. You know, he really just wants to be happy and wants people to be around. And it's funny because coming from Dagmar's point of view, she gets this guy in her office, you know, she has no clue what to expect and no clue how to fix his issue with delusion, and yet she is able to remain so optimistic, you know. she demonstrates it in his treatments. You know, he'll come in trying to fix Bianca. You know, they'll be treating her fake disease, and he'll sit in the office and he'll kind of freak out and break down, and she's optimistic through everything. It kind of guides him through life. And it's funny because when he's going through the point in his life where he realizes that Bianca has to die, the only one that's so optimistic throughout that whole death scene is Dagmar, you know? She even goes up to Karen and Gus at the end and she's like, you need to realize that Bianca's dying because he wants her to die. And she's explaining it to him, and she's very optimistic in the way that she thinks that Lars is going to get better. And even though she doesn't know for sure that there will be a promising outcome, because she's so positive and she just wants to get to know Lars and understand where he's coming from, she's very optimistic and she just is there to help, you know? So I think that was really cool. Basically, this movie, there was a lot of people that led throughout this whole movie. It's interesting to see because there was different types of leadership going on throughout the entire film. And I think different people were leading different people. And one thing that I took out of this, just as like a lesson in general, is that there isn't just one leader in a group. People can lead people in totally different ways, you know. You could be inspired by somebody and you could still be the highest power up, you know. You'd be the president of a company and you could have a single employee working for you, but yet they could lead you in something that you never even thought of before. So it's just funny how it was just kind of like a pyramid of leadership throughout this entire film. So that was really good to see. All right, talk to you next week. Bye.